Okay, year six. So it's time for your maths lesson today. And today what we are going to be looking at, we are learning to find the perimeter of a shape. Now I'm sure lots of you will be relieved to hear that that is the end of our fractions, decimals and percentages topic. When we get back into school we will go over that, everything that we've learned, because I know obviously being at home and just listening to my voice and doing a worksheet and sending it back isn't ideal. It's not as good as being in school. We will go over everything that we have covered on Google Classroom, but we are going to move on to a new topic today, and it is a shape topic. Now perimeter is something that you would have probably first looked at in year 3, should have been touched upon in year 4 and 5 as well. And in year 6 it starts reasonably straightforward and it just gets a little bit trickier. But if you can understand today's lesson, then the other lessons that follow on from this are only small steps as we go. So looking today at finding the perimeter of a shape, and it's really important that this word is a word that you understand. And the perimeter is just the distance around the edge. So imagine, for example, you had a football pitch, obviously not drawn particularly straight there. If you had a football pitch, the perimeter would be the distance just around the edge. So if you're on a football pitch and you didn't step foot onto the actual pitch at all, if you just walked along that line, that is the distance, the perimeter. It's nothing to do with the inside of it, it is just purely the distance around the edge. So if you imagine a football pitch, the white line around the edge of a football pitch, not actually on the pitch, if you were just to walk along that white line along a football pitch, that's what the perimeter is. It's the distance around the edge of the shape. If you think about this rectangle that I've drawn here, it's the distance of these black lines. It's nothing to do with the centre, it's just the distance around the edge. So the perimeter of the shape, and it's actually really quite straightforward to calculate the perimeter of a shape. So if I show you this rectangle here, now this isn't drawn to scale, and by that I mean that it says that side is 6 centimetres. It's not 6 centimetres, so it's not drawn to scale. So I actually do have a ruler here, so if I've got a ruler out you can see that isn't 10 centimetres, that's not 6, it's not drawn to scale. I've just put those measurements in, okay? So before you start trying to get rulers out and putting them onto your tablet or your laptop or your phone or whatever you're watching this on, it's not drawn to scale, which means these measurements aren't correct with this, but we can still work out the perimeter of this shape. So we've got a rectangle here, which is a 4-sided shape with these two lengths being identical in length and these two being identical in length. And to find the perimeter, to find the distance of this black edge going around these 4 black edges, all we need to do is just to add up the length of the 4 edges, and that will give us the perimeter of this shape. Okay, so it doesn't matter which order you add up your numbers in, because you've got 4 separate numbers to add. As long as you add them up and then get to your total, it doesn't matter which order you do it. Now something that I've done previously that can be quite useful to make sure you only add each number once is if you make a little mark in the corner, and I like doing it in the top left hand corner because then you can go around in a clockwise direction adding them up, and then once you go around adding 10, 6, 10 and 6 again, and once you get your little mark in the corner, that's when you stop, because you know you've added them all up then. Now it's quite easy with a rectangle like this when there's just 4. When you do some shapes that have got more edges, this technique can actually be really, really useful, so you don't add an edge twice. So if we go here and go around clockwise to find the perimeter of this rectangle, so we go with 10 add 6 is 16, add another 10 onto that is 26, then add another 6 onto the 26 gets us to 32. So the perimeter of this shape is 32, but what's really important is that we write the unit of measurement as well. What is this 32? We need to make sure, is it 32 metres, it's 32 miles, 32 kilometres? It's really important that you put the unit of measurement, and you can see in all of these it's cm, which you all know stands for centimetres. So it's crucial that you do that. When you do this, that you don't just put 32 as your answer, you put 32 centimetres, because otherwise we don't actually know the size of this. We know that the perimeter of this is 32 centimetres. If you don't put your unit of measurement, then we don't know whether it's 32 miles, 32 kilometres, 32 millimetres. So it's really crucial that you remember to put in that unit of measurement as well. Now you don't have to go round and add them up in a clockwise direction like that. You could have done 10 and 10, which you know is 20, and then you could have done 6 and 6, which is 12, and add 20 and 12 to get to 32. This technique of going round in a clockwise direction though can just be quite useful when you're adding up the edges of shapes with quite a few edges. Okay, so actually calculating perimeter is not too complex. So if we were to have a look at another one now, so you can see this shape is quite similar here. It's a rectangle again. You might have noticed that the unit of measurement this time I've done m, which is meters. So 4 meters and 8 meters. Okay, so the unit of measurement is going to be measured in meters. So my answer is going to be a number and then meters. Now you can see, compared to the previous one I'd labelled all the edges, so it's really straightforward to add up. Whereas on this one you can see these two edges are blank, so we need to begin to fill them in. Now remembering with a rectangle, rectangles, you probably learned about rectangles in reception, I'd imagine, knowing that the sides opposite to each other are identical. So if this side here is 8 meters, this side here also has to be 8 meters. If this side is 4 meters, this one here also has to be 4 meters. Okay, and then what we need to do, I've made that mark in the corner again, so we can go around in the clockwise direction, adding 8 and 4, 8 and 4 to get to our answer. So 8 add 4 is 12. Now at this point, if you know what 8 add 4 is, you could just double it to get to 24, but let's just double check. 8 add 4 is 12, add another 8 is 20, add another 4 is 24. So the perimeter of this shape is 24 meters. So do you think, Year 6, you could have a go at, with the same shape, do you think you could have a go at telling me what the perimeter of this shape is? So we've got 6 centimetres and 10 centimetres here, so you need to fill in what these two would be and then calculate the perimeter. Remember, it's going to be in centimetres. So you might have to stop the video there to calculate it. Okay, so if this line along here, if this edge is 10 centimetres, this top one also has to be 10 centimetres because they're identical in size, aren't they? If this side here is 6 centimetres, this one here will have to be 6 centimetres too. And then to calculate the perimeter, we just add up all the edges. So we've got 10 add 6 is 16. We've got another 10 added on to that, and another 6 added onto that gets us to 32 centimetres again, actually. Okay, so you can see it's not too complex to find the perimeter of a shape like this, a rectangle like this. But sometimes you get shapes that are a touch more complex here. So we can see here this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 6-sided shape. Okay, so this is technically a hexagon. Now I know normally we see regular hexagons, this is an irregular hexagon, it's still a 6-sided shape. And you can see when this technique of making this little mark in the corner for shapes like this can sometimes be useful, knowing that if you start here and go round clockwise, adding up all these numbers, you will get to the correct answer of something centimetres. If you don't put a little mark in the corner, sometimes you can forget where you've started and you might add an edge twice, or you might miss off an edge. So doing this, I found, is just quite good practice, just so you don't ever miss an edge. Okay, so do you want to stop the video there, see if you can figure out what the perimeter of this shape is, and then we'll see if you get it right. Okay, so let's have 8, add 4, which is 12, add another 5, 17, add another 4, 21, add another 3, 24, and then finally adding this 8 on, it's actually 32 centimetres again. And all we've done there is just added up every single of one of these edges. 8 centimetres, 4 down here, then 5, then 4, then 3, then 8. Again, it doesn't matter which order you do them, you could have gone anti-clockwise if you wanted to. But I do think putting this little marker in the corner can just be quite a useful tool for you to make sure that you count every edge only once, and then you've got your really accurate perimeter there. So let's have a go at another shape, and you can see here this shape is a bit more complex. It's almost like an N shape, and you can see that these are done in meters. So you can imagine maybe this was a large garden. You can imagine this is a large garden, and this was the area of the garden that was lawn, that had grass on. And if you wanted to know the perimeter of your lawn or your grass area in your garden, you could work it out using the method that we have just done. So if I put a little marker in the corner, and if you want to have a go at pausing the video, and you'll be adding up all these edges. So 10, 9, 3, 5, 4, 5, 3, and 9. Okay, so we can add these up. Now sometimes when you've got quite a few numbers to add here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 edges to add. Sometimes you might struggle to hold all that information in your head. So what you could do, you could just do it, write these down as an addition. So if I was to write these down, 10, 9, 3, 5, 4, 5, 3, and 9, you could add them up that way, so you don't lose track of where you're up to if you wanted to. So 0 with 9 is 9, add 3, going through, you see how you're not losing track here, is 3, is 12, add 5 is 17, then we add another 4 is 21, then we add another 5 is 26, then we add another 3 is 29, and then we add the 9 onto the top is 38. So right, the 8 there, whoops, and the 3 over here, and then 3, add 1 is 4. So the perimeter of this shape here, this N-shaped shape, is 48, and it's in meters, isn't it? So it'd be 48 meters. So if this was a lawn area, if this was grass, then you'd know that your perimeter was 48 meters, and we've just done that by adding up every single one of those. Now remember, you don't have to add them up in that order. You could, if we were to add these up, you could cross them out as you go, doing some of the easier additions first. So you know that 10 add 5 and 5 is 20. You could do it that way. And then after that, you know that 4 and 3 is another 10. So you're up to 30. And then you could add another 9 to get to 39. And add the last 9 to get to 48. Doesn't matter which way you add it, it's just really crucial that you only add each edge once. Okay? As long as you get to that answer there of 48 meters. Alright, so for today's lesson, what you will be doing is doing some shapes like this, working out the perimeter of them. If there are some edges that are missing, work out what the edges are, just like on some of these shapes here. You have to find out what the edges are and then add them all up, remembering to write in the unit of measurement as well. Okay, thanks, Year 6.